Hello everybody, this is Delmer. I am building a quarter scale fleet biplane, and I built it from the actual factory drawings and drew up everything in CAD on my own. And I'm building it out of a stainless steel tubing. Now, the build thread is on RC Scale Builder, but some of the members there wanted to know how I'm actually brazing or soldering the stainless steel tubing together, what equipment I'm using, how this goes about. So I'm going to try to answer some of these questions, and when I braze this cross member here, I'll hopefully try to capture that just to give you a little better idea on how to do this. First up is, what am I using? I'm using a Smith the Little Torch. This is a great little torch for all kinds of hobbies, for jewelry, for even soldering, brazing, welding, tubing, or anything like that. It's very handy. It has multiple different little tips, as you can see here. And this is really handy too, this magnetic stand. If you do have one of these, or you have some other torch that's similar, if you can get the magnetic base stand, it's great because you just clip it there. When you still be on, you can be working with something, grab it, hit it, put it right back. It's very handy. But I would highly recommend that. Some people use propane. Nothing wrong with that either. It's whatever you're comfortable with. I'm currently using MAP gas. And this torch uses propane, MAP, and acetylene. Acetylene is very hot. I could be using that. It's just a little harder for me to source. This is the MAP gas I can just get at a big box store. They're easy to get, a little on the expensive side, but I hopefully won't be using too much. If I ever want to upgrade, I could get the larger acetylene commercial bottles. I could probably even get MAP gas if I really wanted to. And that would probably be a lot more economical when I go to braze up the tubing fuselage, which is going to be a considerable work. But for right now, I'm just working on the tail surfaces you can see below here. So yeah, that's kind of the basics of it. A lot of it is making sure that your parts, when you're brazing, have a good tight fit. You don't want too much of a gap. It's not critical that it's perfect, but to have something that fits, pretty close helps. Also, cleanliness of your pipe, to be sure that you sand it if needed. I use a wire wheel back here. I just clean up with a wire wheel, take some alcohol, clean it up, and then that works pretty good for me at that point. Also, flux is very important. I use, let me see, here it is. Harris Safety Seal, 45% silver. So that, you could even use higher silver content if you want. The 45 seems to work fine. You could probably even get away with a lesser silver content, but I do like the strength and the high temp that I use with that. And it seems to hold very well. It flows nice. So that's what works for me. But mileage may vary. Use what you're comfortable with. That's just what I'm using. And then I use their flux that comes with that, the safety seal flux. All right. As far as what the tip looks like once I fire this up, let me try to do that for you here. What I do is, and this is the largest tip, by the way, that I have on here right now. This is a number 7. And you want to adjust it so that you have a nice little bead. I don't know if can you see that? So that's pretty much where I'm happy with and using it at that point. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do it right now because I got this paper underneath here and I'll burn that. So I'll have to take the paper out, slide this over, and do my brazing. But I just wanted to kind of show you the way. Oh, never mind. So yeah, I'll have to slide everything out to do that. But I just kind of wanted to show you what the tip looks like. And I just draw it down to a nice little feathered bead. One thing I have noticed, and that's what you just actually saw there, is once you start it up, it will kind of as everything heats up and the gas starts to flow, it'll start adjusting. What I didn't do is I didn't adjust my acetylene and oxygen as things started to kind of regulate out. And so it went ahead and I think it got low on the the map gas. And so there's a little too much oxygen. It flashed off there. So yeah, you just have to adjust it. But then once it kind of stabilizes, everything's great. There's not an issue. So let me pull this out. I'll kind of show you where I'm at. And then we'll see if I can get the camera a little closer, and then we can try to show you how I weld this up. One thing I will note is there's this cross piece I need to weld on, and there are some tabs that the flying wire is attached to. And I was thinking I needed to put the tabs on now because it would be difficult to do it later. But if I do that, none of this is going to sit flat on the table anymore because there's one on the bottom and one on the top. So with that being said, I think that would make it very difficult laying up all the ribs that I'm installing here, because right now everything's flat on the desk. It makes it really easy. So I think what I'll end up doing is I will go ahead and braze this on, and then I'll just add the tabs a little later. I think I can do that. Add maybe a wet cloth or something to keep from burning up any of the wood ribs. But the next one is over here, which is a little further away, and you'll find that the area affected, the heat from this small little torch is very small, so you can really control the area that you're heating up, which is nice because you're not heating up the entire end. It's not blazing hot like you would with the larger tip of a torch. So very fine control, and it's very nice. So let me see if I can get this set up. And here, just let me show you real quick what I have going on here. Okay. Excuse the bad hair day. So as you can see, so here's the rib, and this is the horizontal stabilizer that I'm currently welding up. I've already done the tip here. So you can see I have real nice control. Everything flows very nicely. So I brazed this up. Then I went ahead and put these ribs on here, and I can slide them up and down. They're not fixed right now. They're just loosely set in there. I'm going to braze this cross piece on, and then after that, then I can go ahead and fit these other pieces. And because this rib here, you'll see how it is captured at the end here. Then this central piece here, there's going to be another tab that's soldered onto that, and that's going to be into a mechanism that raises and lowers the adjustable stab. This is all pretty much as it was in the full scale. The ribs were stamped sheet metal, but apart from that, everything else pretty much follows the blueprints of the original plane. So I'm trying to stay as close as I can within reason to the full scale aircraft. All right, so let me move the plans off here, get rid of that, slide this down so it's out here and I don't burn everything up, and hopefully I'll be able to clamp things in place and we'll get back to you, friends. Here we go. I've got it set up out here, so I'm going to be brazing this portion here. Let's see if I can focus better on that. Remember, I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm just doing this to help out some friends. So let's see if I can embarrass myself and get this brazed or not. We'll see. So the first thing I need to do is, I've already cleaned it. I wiped it with alcohol. It's with a little bit of sandpaper. It's cleaned up, so that should be enough, but we will quickly find out. So we'll put a little bit of flux on there, and you'll see it. You don't want the flux to burn, because if that happens, it's game over. You got to start over, clean everything up, try it all over again. But on the other hand, if you don't use it, there's this fine line of how much to use, how much heat. You want the flux to liquefy and kind of run all over the seam, but you don't want it to turn a real black and it ends up corroding, and it's just ugly, and nothing will stick if you get too hot. So there's this fine balance that you need to achieve. So let's just give this a try. And we'll turn it down to about like that. That's a little too much. And so you see that? That's kind of my happy place right there. And get a little bit of silver. And let's see if this will braze up. Heat the silver a little bit. Heat the joint a little bit. So it looks like it flowed around. See how that flowed into the joint? So I think that's good. Of course, that's just on this side. And it'll need to get cleaned up and put a little bit of sandpaper to it. I use a Dremel and we'll clean it up. We'll flip it over and see what the other side looks like. If it didn't flow all the way around to the back side, then we'll just flip this over. But now everything is held in place, and I can just daub a little bit of solder on the top. It'll cover the other side, and this should all hold fine. I'm just really putting the heat directly onto that one side, but it's not enough to go all the way around. Now granted, I could add just a whole lot of heat, overheat this whole area and try to get everything to flow, but I just find it works better for me to do just enough heat to get it to flow around those little joints like you just saw. So and you'll notice, I can touch this, this isn't too hot. Didn't burn my plastic. This is still all held into place. This is just a little warm, but not too bad. And then I'll be able to braze this end up here later, but now everything's held in place. So that makes it really easy to go ahead and hit it and clean it up. So let's take a look at the other side. Okay, so I've flipped it over to the other side. So we could take a look here. Honestly, it looks like it's flowed all the way around. So it looks pretty good. I don't think I'm going to mess with it at this stage. I think it's plenty strong enough for holding with a model. I mean, there isn't a tremendous amount of tension and side loads or anything else. It just needs to hold this good enough so that those flying wires hold the vertical stab. But that should be plenty enough. So anyway, looks pretty good. Let's get this all cleaned up and we'll take a look, and then maybe we can play around with this end. Well, here we go. Looks pretty good. I don't have any real complaints. It's nice and sealed all the way around. Go around to the back side here. Actually, the back side even looks cleaner. So everything's flowed very nicely. Even have a slight fillet right there, but it's going to hold. I mean, it's more than enough for as far as strength. And then later on, I'll go ahead and I'll do this side here, and then it'll be done. And then it's just a matter of doing the other side over here. And then I'll start with, there's some tubes for the bolts for the, not pocket hinge, the strap hinges. They go on the trailing edge. That will be next. So there's a hinge here in the center, and then another one. There's only two per flying surface, which I find rather strange in this aircraft, but that's the way the manufacturers did it, so that's the way I'm going to do it as well. So there'll be two strap hinges for each side of the elevator. And we'll get everything else. Once this is cleaned up and soldered, I get the other side, then I'll go ahead and I'll secure all these ribs all the way up, and then the center structure and everything as well. Okay, everybody. Well, there was a quick little tutorial how I do it. Hope this helps. Like I said, I'm not a professional. I don't make videos or anything else. I just threw my phone up here and thought I would try to make something to help people out. I know there was lots of questions on how you solder stainless steel tubing and such, but this is how I do it. I'm sure there's other ways of doing it, but this is what works for me. So anyway, have a good day and take care.